Is Saytang the Watcher eagle-eyed in Ties of Torment? It's been a while, but I never quit calling Cathay coverage complete. Let's give the Watcher some attention, because even those with sharp eyes may want to be seen in turn. Let's see how imposing his presence becomes. With a base multiplayer value of 2,000 gold, but 0 upkeep in campaign as a legendary hero, Saytang strides in at 12,620 health, good giant levels. The Sentinel has 100 armor even, 15% missile defense default as a character, 90 leadership default, 48 speed, 100 charge speed for suddenly closing the distance, melee attack of 42 could be higher, but carries magical attack with each blow. Attack interval 4 seconds is standard, splash rocket size large means trolls on down will divide his damage, and max targets damaged is 6, regardless of how many are tossed or staggered. Melee defense 28 is in line with being cumbersome, that's in the unit card. Some of the animations are just long. Weapon strength 550 is split base 125 and armor piercing 425, which is tremendous on the armor busting front. Charge bonus is 20 and mass is 6,500. Okay, Chinese bone giant, let's measure your ranged weapon. Officially 30 ammunition and 514 comparison missile strength. Each shot is magical attack. Direct impacts are base 100 and armor piercing 425, so really good there. Moreover, there is a bonus versus large of 200 applicable to damage only and within 3 meters, a relatively minor base 30 and armor piercing 10 explosive damage, still enough to soften up infantry, counting as artillery trajectory, expected to damage walls and gates. Reload time of 11 could be far worse. Total accuracy of 60 is not best in-game, but is still triple normal starting value. Calibration distance 325 means it'll get a fair bit of extra drift past that. Calibration area 1 meter before total accuracy modifiers means this is pick which eye of the giant you want to snipe level accurate. And the medium penetration cap with a max of 10 entities struck beyond the first means it's a lot more reliable at hitting tightly packed clumps of infantry, but you take out what you can get, and every bit of penetration damage is glorious. Saytang doesn't really do mounts. This siege attacker inflicts fear and terror, and thanks to the redesign of how these work, it is a construct unit. This means it'll crumble when leadership is shattered. Master of the Stone Legions is an aura of 55 meters range centered on him, but not affecting him. Rather, it makes fellow constructs leadership +4 and physical resistance +15%, which certainly helps. Saytang is a harmony amplifier of +50%, helping make those boosts work out even better. Saytang's background trait, the Watcher on High, increases campaign line of sight +30%, enemy hero action success chance -10% local region, own army Terracotta Sentinels armor +8, own army missile strength +5%. These are relatively mild buffs on their own. His legendary weapon, the Wind Bow, grants him ammunition +10%, range +10%, missile strength +12%, and the namesake ability, the Moonbow ability has 6 projectiles, each inflicting 100 damage on impact, 75% armor piercing and magical, and 40 explosive damage, only 25% of which is armor piercing. This has 3 uses, a whopping 350 meter range, and a cooldown of 120 seconds. The explosions are in a narrow 3 meter radius. Having said that, the big feature of this is scaling damage, doing more damage the closer the enemy is to death, like Deathmaster Stinkich will. Nothing wrong with this, just keep in mind it's all focusing on his ranged game. As an embed, he is a training hero. Spread Control is his map passive, his agent actions are damage walls, assassinate, and assault units, with Specialist reducing action costs in gold. This is an interesting lineup, and means he is in no way worthless as a pure agent. At rank 7, Wind Harmony gives spell resistance +10% for 1 pip, Range Discipline gives +10% missile resistance for 1 pip. At rank 9, Enhanced Metallurgy Piercing is pickable for 1 pip, simply granting the ability, which is 100 meter range, 90-second cooldown, 23 seconds duration, and a very juicy +25% to weapon strength and missile strength. It also enables magical attacks if used on a unit without them, but he has them anyway. At rank 12, he can pick Hawkish Precision. If you remember what this does, great. If not, if no enemy is within 70 meters, missile strength +15% for Saytang. Conditional, but nice. Let's proceed to the main combat line. Eyes Up. For 1 pip, gives campaign sight range plus 10% and range plus 8% for Saytang himself. Wait, didn't he get boosts to these already? Yes, this is stacking boosts. You will get used to this quickly. Indomitable gives plus 12 leadership at 3 pips. Bottomless Quiver gives plus 30% ammunition at 2 pips. Piercing Shots gives plus 15% to direct and explosive missile damage at 2 pips. Devastating Charge gives plus 30 flat charge bonus at 3 pips. And he really did start with high charge bonus. Midway Pip is Evasion, like the common mage passive, for plus 10% speed and plus 5 melee defense. Nothing wrong with that. Sky Fire is like a Lord skill in a combat line. At 3 pips, speed plus 15% for basically all flying units, weapon strength plus 5% for Onyx Crowmen and flying monsters, missile strength plus 12% for Sky Lanterns and Sky Junks. Awesome for Sky Junks, got it. Construct gives Saytang armor plus 15 at 3 pips. Enhanced Ammunition at 3 pips gives plus 15% ammunition to his entire army, him included. Fleet Finger gives 15% reload time reduction at 2 pips. Mountain to Mountain, all this does is give Saytang Vanguard deployment, but that's kind of scary. At rank 6, a pseudo-personal line begins with Watching the Watcher. Is that a comic book reference? For unit XP gain plus 15% for Jet and Jade Lions, and Expert Charge Defense for Terracotta Sentinel units. So, Norscan Berserkers charging in? No problem. At 3 pips, Eyes in the Sky gives recruit rank plus 3 to Cathay bow units. Crossbows apparently are bows for this purpose, and range plus 12% to Sky Lanterns and Sky Junks. Okay, boost to Sky Junks, got it. 3 pips in Celestial Quivers gives entire hero's army plus 15% ammunition and base missile damage plus 15% for the aforementioned bow units. Yes, this is stacking 2 sources of army-wide ammo. Base damage is nice when it works and all. Master of the Stone Legions, the skill, at 3 pips gives melee defense plus 8 to Sentinels, and charge bonus plus 30% to your Construct Lions. Nice. Redoubtable Interceptor at 3 pips gives underway intercept chance plus 40%, so an anti-Eshin measure, and plus 20% missile resistance to the army's lord. Interesting, but that's a lot of pips. Perfect Maneuvering gives range plus 12% and reload time reduction 10% to Cathayan bow units per earlier. This means firing longer and faster on top of the greater damage and deeper quivers. Good stuff. The capstone, Watched by the Watcher, has 3 uses, 120 second cooldown, 60 second duration, no ranges listed, so it would appear you just click this, and for 60 seconds, every unit is revealed. Hide and Forest, Stalk, and Unspottable are ineffective. Giant Leap for the real personal line at rank 12 is like a Final Fantasy Dragoon in the sense Saytang leaps, comes down a few seconds later, inflicts 35 damage, which is flaming, magical attack, and 71% armor piercing, and enemies are temporarily afflicted by monstrous impact for 60% reduction to speed. Flightless Colossus gives plus 30% to leadership or size, and minus 25% to the Giant Leap cooldown, so it's 90 seconds now. Silent Guardian gives diplomacy plus 10 with Cathay factions, construction cost minus 10% for advanced military buildings in local province, and upkeep minus 15% for Sentinel, Jet, and Jade Line constructs in his army. Watchful Protector gives Saytang plus 10% health and plus 15 armor, meaning skills alone can get him to 125. Ever Watcher gives enemy heroes minus 15% success chance for actions in local region, and ambush defense chance plus 25%. Good against Skaven and anyone, really. Our final capstone, Pierce the Ranks, gives Saytang plus 20% missile strength, which is a lot when combined with all the rest, and reload time reduction an extra 7%. That's very nice. So how do we use Saytang the Watcher? It's hard to mess this up. With only 1 item slot taken and the ability to be a do-it-yourself artillery unit in any army, buffing friendly ranged units, flying units, construct units in general, and so on, he's doing quite a bit of stuff. Being a harmony amplifier and able to fight in melee decently and ranged excellently means he just plain makes your force better. Very much like a Bone Giant, he's not that good in melee unless you find ways to boost him, but he also isn't that bad. Mere decency when its damage is this high is potent. You just need to keep in mind this is not so much a weakness as a lack of a particular strength, and work around it. And if you do boost him, he'll be fine. Saytang brings nothing for pure melee units unless they are constructs, so he encourages a playstyle that has constructs playing that role, supporting a bunch of missile units, and some artillery to boot, with magical bombardments playing a flex role. Compared to older game versions, I was very impressed with how reliable Bone Giants seemed, so I think Saytang is going to do just fine, tormenting enemy monster units at a comfortable distance, and a bit of smacking in the face late battle isn't a bad thing. It's a lot of health. You don't want to treat him like a glass cannon either, because he's not that glassy. In terms of buff stacking, he's a tiny bit like Malachi in that respect. Aside from being a hero unit, he's not really built for being a doom stack. He wants an army to buff and make that much deadlier. Ammunition boosts are of little import if you can't unleash sufficient amounts to win the battle before your lines break. If all else fails, against blobs, standing in the middle of one while Skyjunk lobs rockets at your feet is not a waste of effort. Take care and have fun making little beast lords cry. No sneaky on your watch.